Let's get into one of the big stories of the day, and that is an update on the murder of Charlie Kirk. The suspect in his assassination due in court today, Tyler Robinson, accused of gunning down Kirk at Utah Valley University last week. Investigators say DNA found on a towel wrapped around the alleged murder weapon and on a screwdriver found at the crime scene both match Robinson. Meanwhile, faculty at the campus returned yesterday and students will do so tomorrow. So what should we expect from his court appearance today?
Yeah, I happen to know a lot of folks that were there at the event, and they, to this day, are still concerned for their safety because it was ideas, really. And so Tyler was radicalized probably at the university level. His family, I know folks that actually know his family quite well, and they say he's wonderful, was raised in a wonderful family, good parents. So it's very confusing as where this occurred, probably when he went off to college. I think you're going to expect a couple of things. You're going to expect him to plead not guilty, a dream team of sorts of lawyers, because the bottom line is whether it's on the state or the federal level, I think the death penalty is on the table, and rightfully so.
Do you think we'll get any more insight into his possible political motivation? Social media has obviously been awash in different groups claiming different ideologies. Do you think some of that could possibly come out today?
Yeah, I think it will, not so much today from him, but I think from the evidence, and you'll see this in a couple of ways. All of his writings on the ammunition, on the other items that he left behind, he was very clear. So if somebody tells you something, that they're going to do something, or the reason that they are doing something, then you have to believe them. And he expected to have some of these items caught, or to be caught himself, or maybe even killed himself, because he had left a wide range of items behind that left it very clear it was for Charlie Kirk's stand on the trans community and having men that claimed to be women going into women's bathrooms and playing in women's sports. Charlie was very clear on his stance.
All right, well, we'll keep following that case. His first court appearance set for later today. We'll have updates coming up either here if it happens or on the DMV zone, Fox 5, 4, 5, and 6. Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill now. The House floor opening moments ago, where we're expecting a vote on 4 bills that would impact D.C. laws, D.C. home rule specifically. The bills would allow 14-year-olds to be charged as adults. They would cap youthful offender leniency eligibility at age 18 rather than the age of 24. They would allow more police vehicular pursuits. They would abolish D.C.'s Judicial Nomination Commission to give the president sole power to appoint D.C. judges. Now, this all comes as President Trump is threatening to once again put the D.C. Police Department under his control after the mayor said they would no longer cooperate with ICE. So what should we expect with these bills today? Should these pass, and should the federal government control D.C.?
Yeah, I think if you take a look, Chris, at the idea of let's just check the results. How are they doing? How is it for the 60,000 people that live between Brentwood and Deanwood? Are you happy? Can you go out at night? Not even midnight or 2 in the morning. Can you go out after dark? Check on your car? Do you have to leave your car windows open so they're not broken into? Do you feel safe? If you do, then people in charge are doing a great job. If not, something needs to change. Why are their lives worth less because they live in that area? When I was a police officer, I can tell you this. I thought the bad guys that lived in that area were just bad guys, and that's the way they chose to live. Until you get there and you realize, as a 21-year-old kid, I thought, wait a second, it's 3, 4, 5% of the population. What about the grandmothers and the aunts? Listen, President Trump is going to do something about this. They can either fix it or he will. I don't agree with everything anybody always does, but let's just check the results. How's the current leadership doing? Bottom line.
We will hear much more about this, obviously. Tom Fitzgerald covering it for us coming up this afternoon. And then I believe the mayor and the attorney general due back on the Hill a little later, either later this week or early next week, to talk more about the MPD crime stats. So we'll stay on top of this one. I want to kind of branch off of this a little bit. You may have seen a little earlier today, former DNC chair Donna Brazile called on D.C. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton to retire. She did so in an op-ed in the Washington Post. This just came out a few hours ago. Congresswoman Norton is 88 years old. She is running for re-election. Donna Brazile says she has served the nation's capital well, but it needs a new champion, especially during this time specifically. Do you have any reaction to this?
Well, I think she certainly has served quite a long time. And I believe you're going to see two things happen. One is in the next 6 to 9 months, you're going to start seeing big results in Washington, D.C. And if the Democrat Party doesn't solidify that position, the results are going to allow, possibly for the first time in a long time, a Republican to be elected, because the people are just tired of the same old get along to get along. And that's what the Democrat Party is doing. They need somebody a bit more solid that they can get as a legacy play before the results of the D.C. crime stoppage really takes hold and residents realize it can be different.
Well, she has served for decades, and it would be a huge loss on the Hill, obviously, for the nation's capital. But at the same time, Donna Brazile did work for Congresswoman Norton, so we'll see what happens there. Let's stay on the Hill and talk about the FBI hearing underway right now. FBI Director Kash Patel testifying on Capitol Hill at an oversight hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Any major headlines that have come out so far?
Not really. I think Kash Patel was a little bit concerned because he certainly jumped the gun when he said there was somebody in custody and then there somebody wasn't in custody. The white male with the blue shirt that was in custody originally at Charlie Kirk's assassination seems to be somebody who has some mental issues. He's been all over the news over the last 20 years in various capacities. Always seems to be causing problems. So initially they thought he was a suspect and then somebody else. Kash Patel came out. I think he's still trying to get his feet under him. I'm not sure how much longer that grace will be given to him. However, I think he's doing an amazing job. He's been on both sides. He used to defend criminals. He used to prosecute criminals. He's been on raids in foreign countries to go after terrorists when we treated them as criminals instead of terrorists. So he was involved in all levels. I trust his judgment. I trust his experience. I think his decision there was slightly jumped the gun, if you will. And here's the problem. Congress on both sides, if you listen, whenever these hearings happen, they are never listening. All they want to do is talk to get the headlines. And when they pan out in Congress, you'll see it's empty. People ask their questions, get their headlines, take a few shots, and then walk away. They never want to hear the rest of the hearing and what's going on. So this is another show. We'll see if it lasts. You
touched on this a little bit when you mentioned that grace period. Do you think he still enjoys the full support of the president and his top advisors?
Oh, 100%. I happen to know somebody that knows Mr. Dan Bongino quite well, and both of them have an enormous support between Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem and President Trump. I don't see any problems whatsoever. It will take a lot more than that to lose President Trump's trust. In case people aren't sure, President Trump is never shy of saying something publicly if he doesn't like you. He's pretty confident that he's okay doing that.
Yeah, his famous catchphrase is "You're fired." So,
yes.
If that was the case, we would probably know sooner than later. All right, let's talk about President Trump now, because he and the First Lady are currently on their way to the United Kingdom as we speak. King Charles III will host ceremonies at Windsor Castle, including a carriage procession and honor guard review. The visit seeks to strengthen ties between the two nations amid trade and global security tensions. So what should we expect, and how would you describe the current relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom?
Well, Britain was one of the very first tariff trade deals that the United States had under President Trump, and that's a very important distinction, partly because we think Britain has nothing to do with the European Union. In fact, I've been in Europe, a few different countries over the last few years, and the South has nothing to do with the North. If you are Greece or Portugal or Italy, you believe that you are, if you will, in effect, the slave countries, the worker countries for the North, for the Belgiums, the France, and the Germanys. They have a lot of resentment. European Union has very little actual control. It's just this oligarchy power play. And President Trump knows that. So his goal is to keep a wedge between Britain and the rest of Europe when it comes to the deep relationships. And if you saw London, did you see the support for Charlie Kirk from London over the last couple of days? It was incredible. It was, I don't know, 500,000 people, 1 million people. And if you notice, So far, I haven't seen anybody burning cities or turning over police cars or spray painting or firebombing anything. So maybe there's a difference between the two groups.
All right, well, let's stay with President Trump now, because we also learned today that he announced on social media platform Truth Social that he plans to file a $15 billion lawsuit against the New York Times. The president accused the outlet of defamation and libel, along with making false statements about his family and businesses. So this announcement comes after the president threatened to sue the outlet after it published articles regarding a note that was given to Jeffrey Epstein and allegedly signed by the president. So I kind of wanted to talk to you about the president kind of wielding the power of the judiciary against the press. Is this, do you see this lawsuit having legs moving forward, and or do you think it's a little bit of a bullying tactic?
I think both. I think the president has used this bully pulpit against CBS. He's used it against other outlets. CNN was sued by the Covington student. So I think there's a few times when the media needs to be held to account. Remember, who holds them to account? The American people don't. They don't have any clue of what the truth is. What the media tells us, what we tell them, they believe. And so when you get something so skewed so far to the left or the right politically, there's nobody else to hold them into account. Look, you and I have jobs. We have things to do. We have people we have to impress. President Trump doesn't. And so I think his ability to push and to use the judiciary, in which has been used against him for quite a long time, it's turnabout is fair play. And let's see where it goes. I believe they'll settle. I think he will get hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think the Times will apologize.
All right. Political strategist, radio host, national security expert, Arif Halaby, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon on the live.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.